Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is me. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm just checking if I look okay, if everything looks okay on my face. Yeah. I wanted to start with "Hey Ho, Time to Go." That is my version of TikTok "Time to Rock" from now on. It's a better alternative. It sounds better. Just kidding. It sounds horrible. It's disgusting. Just tell me the truth. How are you doing? Is everything okay? Can you hear me? Can you tell me if the sound is okay? Can you tell me if the visuals are okay? I see a little bit blur, but I guess it's fine. It will correct itself. Okay, fantastic. Today I want to discuss the holes in the narrative. I don't want to discuss any holes except the holes on my shirt. I want to discuss a Muslim apologist, or a Muslim Dawa person called Saajid Lipham, who is apparently an American who converted to Islam. And he seems to have quite solid reasons why he converted to Islam, as I understand it. The thing is, recently I sat down and I thought about how I made a video about this woman, the Wandering Quinn, whatever her name is, Ellie something. And then I looked at this other guy, Dawood Kim, that I talked about, and I thought, man, this is just such low-hanging fruit. These are people who just make popular videos like reacting to Quran recitation and this and that on YouTube, and they don't actually share anything. They don't give us any proper information, any reasoning, any debate on why they convert to Islam. I thought, what does that really do? If I just evaluate conversions based on these people, then I'm not really debating and challenging Islam. So I thought, hey, how about I look into more serious people? And recently, this guy, Saajid Lipham, came up, and I thought, this guy seems to be a quite knowledgeable and religious guy. So why don't I, during a live stream, go through this dear fellow's conversion story to Islam and listen to it fully and thoroughly and fairly, and see what he has to say and critique it then. I will do this live here with you. I did skim through his video before, but yeah, we'll go through that together. I just have to fix my brightness of my second screen here, because I can barely see it. Okay, it should be fine now. I will share the screen and I will show that. Afterwards, I might interact with everybody here during the live stream as well, and also answer questions when we have time. Walter said in a super chat, "Where is my hikmah?" I found it. It was in the whole of the standard narratives. Oh yeah, the hikmah. This guy's the hikmah guy. I completely forgot that. This guy is the guy who was talking about the hikmah guy. He got the hikmah, bro. He got the hikmah. You ain't got the hikmah. I got the hikmah, bro. I got the hikmah. I got the hikmah. Hikmah, by the way, means wisdom. It's an important Islamic term. And Muslims, when advising each other, use the word hikmah. You got the hikmah. You gotta have the hikmah. Is that how it works? Yeah, whatever. Okay. Before getting too goofy here, I tend to do that. I would like to begin analyzing this fellow here. I want to say one thing up front. I might occasionally turn into a monster myself when I interact with monsters. And considering that many people who, confront me online and want to debate with me online are people who have extremely disturbing opinions about me and beliefs about me, it is normal that they act like monsters toward people like me and others. And when I respond to these people, when I interact with them, I sometimes become like them. I feel like that is definitely not what I want to do. I don't want to sit here and attack this guy. I don't want to insult him. I don't want to belittle him. I don't want to do anything. I really just want to go through this guy's personal story in all honesty, look at his reasoning, and critique it and see how that works. That said, let's start. Okay, are you ready for the journey, bros? Bros, what the hell? Okay, yeah. It's called my journey to Islam by our friend whose name is Saajid Lipham, who has currently almost 60,000 subscribers, and he makes daily videos, or not daily videos, but weekly videos, whatever it is, in which he describes Islam, defends Islam, and so on. I'm sorry for that sound. Okay, let's go. So here for 32 minutes, dear Saajid Lipham will tell us his story, and we will listen, and I will make my commentary on it. Let's hope for the best. And I hope at the end of this, I will not be destroyed and defeated by just listening to this guy. But quickly, before we begin, please let me know how the audio is in comparison to my sound, if everything sounds okay, because I don't want to mess this up.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Saajid Lipham. I'm from Maryland.
Does it sound good? His name is Saajid Lipham. He's from Maryland. Does it sound good? Is it good in comparison to my sound? No, up, down, everything good? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Sound is okay. Everyone says 1, 1, 1. Okay, if sound is okay, say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yes, 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 yes. 1, 1, 1. Okay. Let's go.
I'm currently a student at the
Okay, so
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Saajid Lipham. I'm from Maryland, and I'm currently a student at the Islamic University of Medina.
Okay, I forgot to start this stream with our ritualistic beginning. Peace and blessings be upon you, everybody. Victory, success, and victory be upon everybody. Success and victory be upon me. By the way, whenever you say my name, you are supposed to also say victory and success upon me, because I'm the prophet. That's how it works.
So I grew up on a military base called Fort Meade. It's not too far from Baltimore, not too far from Washington, D.C. For those of you who aren't really familiar regarding what it's like growing up on a military base, it's actually a pretty nice environment for families. It's not like a wealthy upper class environment, but you don't have any of the problems that you find in a lot of the lower class communities in America. There's no like drugs, and there's not like a bunch of crime and stuff like that. It's just you have a lot of soldiers living together in close quarters. A lot of people have families. There's lots of kids around. And you also grow up around lots of different types of people, lots of different...
Why are people saying louder? Is this not loud enough?
Ethnicities. It's a very diverse environment. Everyone's an American. Everyone is just living together. And I just remember growing up playing sports all the time. That's really what kept me out of trouble.
Can you tell me if the sound is good right now? It's good now. Okay, people are saying it's good now. It's loud enough. Yeah, it's destroying my ears. So
throughout the year, I was playing basketball, soccer, baseball, taekwondo. I was just always exerting all of my energy into being an athlete in one way or another. Then at the end of the day, after school, after sports, I would, just watch cartoons, play video games, listen to music, that sort of thing. So I had a nice childhood in that regard. As far as religion.
So he grew up in a military base, nice childhood, cartoons, this and that. So far, so good. 1 minute into it. Okay, nothing too bad. Let's see. Oh wait, David Wood contributed $100. David Wood made a super chat and said, AP is just jealous of Saajid because Saajid's got that hikmah. By the way, AP has a new baby. Everyone should contribute via super chat so that AP can buy some diapers and hikmah. I appreciate it, David. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for your support and your friendship and for being so considerate. I appreciate it very much. I want to buy myself some hikmah. And yeah, I have a new baby. I'm going to mention that every time now when I'm online. Thank you. Okay, let's go on.
Concerned, I was raised Protestant, and I had a very, very firm belief in God as a child. In Islam, we understand that there's something called a fitra, meaning that every child is born with this innate belief in God. And I even remember when I was young, my mother, she taught me how to pray. There was a prayer that I would say every night. I would say, Father in heaven, hear my prayer, keep me in thy loving care, watch over me in all I do, and bless all those who love me too. And then I would pray for my parents, my sister, my family and friends. And I remember when my mom taught me this prayer, how I wasn't really taught about God, about his existence, about his names and attributes, but I knew he existed. And it was this really strange feeling. I was like, I don't remember being taught the specifics about God, but I know he exists. It's just something that we all seem to know and understand.
I actually, I have to say something here. Now, first off, his point on fitra. Fitra means basically your nature. That is a belief in Islam. In Islam, we believe that everyone has a fitra, means everyone has a nature upon which a human is born, and in that fitra, in that nature, everybody is a Muslim. You don't actually believe that everyone has an innate belief in God, but that everyone was, prior to being born into the earth, a Muslim, and that was basically arranged by Allah. Allah made an agreement with everybody, which is why everybody has it in his nature to believe in Allah and to be a Muslim. That's also why when people convert to Islam, they call themselves reverts, as in we have reverted to our nature and become Muslims again. That is the issue here. I have to say one thing. He says that he was not taught about God, but deep inside he already knew that he believed in God, that he believed in. I believe that he will take this to that he knew there was Allah, and it is funny. It is easy to think back about the past and to be fooled about what you actually thought in the past because you think that way now. This is a quite common cognitive bias. It's a form of hindsight bias, it is called, where something happens, something develops, or you start thinking a certain way, and then you think back and you genuinely believe that you always thought that way. Seems like what is happening here, but I don't want to judge it as of yet. I will see more of that. There are many super chats coming in right now. I appreciate that. I don't want to interrupt the deconstruction of this, but I will give attention to those very soon. I hope that is okay with everybody.
Before I even knew what a fitra was, I remember this. And I remember how natural it was for me to understand certain facts about the Creator, about how he was above us, about how he was beyond our comprehension. He was all-knowing, all-powerful. I remember just knowing these things without even being taught them. And throughout my childhood, I always prayed to God. I believed in God. And this was just sort of something that was natural for me growing up. Now, of course, as I got older,
I do not believe that somebody naturally thought. I don't believe that someone naturally thought that there was one God and he was above everything and he was almighty and he listened to all your prayers. That sounds. I mean, it's nice. It's nice to romanticize it and to put it that way, but that doesn't really sound like it is something very believable, to be very honest. It might be that it is actually true that, according to certain studies, that a child has this tendency to believe that there is something higher, that there is something greater, but it is not really believable that he actually had all the right thoughts, that there is this one almighty being who is above everything and who expects your prayers and all that. It's kind of a bit far-fetched, but yeah, let's go on.
I got more mature. I had more complex questions. So I remember one day I asked the question. I asked about Jesus. We'd always hear about Jesus, about him being the Son of God, but at the same time we were all God's children. So I never worshiped Jesus. I never prayed to Jesus. I always sort of felt like he was this prophetic figure. But as I got older, I wanted to understand more in depth. So I remember asking, what is this situation with Jesus and the Trinity and God and the Son of God? And I was told that, well, Jesus is the Son of God. He died on the cross for your sins. If you believe in him, then you will go to heaven in the hereafter. So that night, as I was going to bed and I said my prayers, I remember saying to God, I believe in Jesus. I believe he died for my sins. Please enter me into heaven. And it felt kind of weird, but I wasn't really one at that point to question my authority figures, the people older than me, my parents and stuff like that. I trusted their judgment, and I thought, okay, well, I guess that's it. I'm going to heaven. So
it's a very simplistic approach to things. I don't know. I just don't want to be that guy who doubts everything that this guy says. But that he considered Jesus a prophetic figure rather than the Son of God or God, as such a young fellow, is, again, sounds very far-fetched to me. That just sounds like this is in hindsight bias inspired by an Islamic way of thinking now. That he had a very strange. That it felt very strange to him to consider Jesus the Son of God, and that he died for his sins. That he had an actual problem with that it also sounds very far-fetched. It's not normal for somebody to just feel like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Like, you're a child and you learn that Jesus is the Son of God and he died for your sins, and you go to heaven and you're like, that doesn't make sense to me. Or like, that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't sound reasonable. No. That doesn't sound reasonable. It's probably something different. I don't believe Jesus is the Son of God. I believe Jesus is actually just a prophet, and I should only pray to God alone and only consider him a prophet. Like, I just can't picture that. It just sounds a little bit far-fetched, as said. By the way, wait.
Around this time, I'm getting older. You start going through adolescence, and
I'm really disappointed that. I'm really disappointed by his outfit, because recently, when we sat together with David Wood talking about this guy and watching this guy, I was very amazed by his brilliant outfit, by his hoodie and his hat and all that. And now and now he's dressed like this. So maybe I should put a picture over this where he has a proper outfit. I don't know. Anyway, don't mind. Let's go on.
I did have like a children's Bible. I remember sort of reading through it. It was just very sort of confusing, unclear. And now that I believe that I was going to heaven, that Jesus died for my sins, it was just more about, okay, now try to just sort of enjoy your life, live your life. And I think the end of my childhood, when I started becoming a man, I started growing up, was when the transition from elementary school to middle school. That period of my life was a huge change. And it was right around the time that I had this concept in my head that, Jesus died for my sins, I'm going to heaven.
That's a quite simplistic view of Christianity. I mean, I was never a Christian. I understand Christianity. I understand religious Christian people. I am in contact with religious Christian people. And I am very well aware that the concept is not, oh yeah, okay, Jesus died for our sins, that means I'm going to go to heaven, now I can just go on and enjoy my life. That's not how a Christian is supposed to think or supposed to act. Protestants are a little bit more, I guess, in comparison to Catholics and Orthodox, their works carry more weight than in Protestantism, where salvation carries more weight. But the concept is not, oh, I'm going to be saved because Jesus died for me, now I can do whatever I want. That's a very simplistic understanding of Christianity, and just kind of looks like to me that he didn't really have a proper understanding of Christianity and probably not a proper Christian upbringing.
So rather than try to get my values about who I should follow, how I should act from God or from a religion, I look to just the world around me. Back then, just like today, a lot of the youth, they look up to musicians, to rappers, to celebrities, because they appear to be the successful ones, the people who the world love, the people who are rich, who are successful. That's sort of not only who I looked up to, but all of us, all of the youth, all of my friends and peers, we all seem to look up to these musicians and these celebrities regarding how to dress, how to speak, what's cool, what's right and wrong. We sort of looked up to them. They were sort of our role models. Around that time when people are going through puberty, people mature at different rates. I was still this short, skinny guy with like a high-pitched voice, and then I had some classmates who were like twice my size with beards, and they were like grown men. And I was like, man, some of these guys, they could probably kill me with their bare hands if they wanted to. So it was like a very intimidating environment to be in. And very early on, I learned a very valuable lesson. It really changed the course of my middle school experience. One day,
I'm not saying this in a bad way. I'm just sensing a quite explicit telling of sort of an inferiority complex. I'm not saying that to belittle him or anything like that, but just as a side note, I'm not saying that people who have felt an inferiority complex or who do feel it are laughable, pathetic, worthy of belittling, but that's basically what he's describing at the moment.
I want to say it was probably like within the first couple weeks of school, I went to the bathroom. And when I went to the bathroom, there were these two guys fighting each other. They were really going at it. One of the guys was like really big, and the other guy, he was small, but he was strong, and he was really holding his own. And I remember going in there and seeing them fight, and I just ran out of there. You know, I didn't want to get involved in that at all. So when I got back to the classroom, I was sort of shooken up by what I saw, and I told whoever was sitting next to me, I was like, so-and-so was fighting in the bathroom, and it looked like such and such was getting beat up by the other guy, and they were going at it and this and that. And when I said this, the guy who I said was getting like beat up, I don't know why I said that. I guess I was embellishing a little bit, but his girlfriend heard me say that. She was like sitting behind me or something like that. So later that day at lunch, I was sitting at lunch. I had some friends that I knew from sports, from basketball teammates and stuff like that. So I was sitting with them, and this guy came up to our table with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was like, "That's him. That's the guy. He was talking about you." So this guy, he like squared up with me, and he like was ready to fight. And he was like, "Hey, I heard you were talking about me." And I was shook. I was shocked. I was like looking down like, "Nah, man, I wasn't talking about you. I don't know you, man." He's like, "Yo, you better not be talking about me," this and that. I was like, "Nah, man, I don't know you, man. I wasn't talking about you." And I had some friends with me at that table who had my back, and one dude in particular, he was a tough guy. He wasn't somebody to mess around with, and he started yelling at this guy who was basically trying to fight me. He was like, "Man, get out of here!" Blah blah blah. They were cussing at each other, yelling at each other, and basically the guy, he proved his point. You know, he came up to me. He was like, "Don't talk about me, my friends."
I'm aware people are asking, where is this going? Why won't he get to the point? But I'm waiting for it to. I'm waiting for this to somehow connect to his Islamic conversion story, but I don't know.
Sort of proved a point that, hey man, you're not going to be laying any finger on anybody at this table. You better get out of here. So, you know, what's done was done. And I became friends with that guy later on in life. But it was a very valuable lesson, man. It really taught me about the environment I was in and how careful you have to be about who you talk about, what you do, and also about what kind of friends you have, who you surround yourself with. Like, it's important that people like you, that you have friends, that people don't want to fight you and this and that. So it was just this crazy environment that I found myself in. And rather than going to school,
I don't want to interrupt people. I have this tendency to, I want to say something and I want to be like, okay, why are we talking about this? But then I also want to listen because I'm just waiting for the point to come forth and it doesn't come forth. So I don't know. And he's talking basically about how hard his environment was and how he was trying to fit in and had trouble and this and that. I'm checking the title of the video again. It is called My Journey to Islam. So far, he's just introducing himself, and 1/3 of the video, he's talking about basically his some irrelevant incident in his childhood. I do not know why this is being said, but I guess it is part of the story. For the sake of getting through this quicker, I can speed it up just a tiny little bit.
And focusing on, I need to get this education and pass my classes and this and that. There was so many other crazy social things going on around me in terms of fights and in terms of being cool and popular or not, and getting picked on and bullied, and about girls and guys and people acting like, we're like 11 and 12 years old, people acting like, oh, you gotta, be promiscuous, you gotta sleep around and get girls, or you're lame and this. And it was just this crazy environment I found myself in. And the conclusion I really came to was that the peers and the people around me, what they considered cool, what they considered to be the right way to live and be, it was basically completely opposite to what the teachers would teach us or what our parents and the adults would tell you. So I remember during those years, it was just this serious clash between me and my parents and the teachers.
Is that the point here? young people had different interests from what our teachers and parents were telling us, because that is a basic dynamic in every culture and every time that has ever existed on this planet. I don't understand the point. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I guess he's kind of trying to get to, well, people had these empty interests, and everything was terrible. But then Islam came in, and Islam saved me. I was just yesterday talking about this device in old theater and movies and stuff like that. It's called Deus Ex Machina, I believe, which means a god from the machine, or god of the machine. And that is when there is a story going on, and there is a lot of conflict in the story, and it all seems kind of weird, it's not going anywhere, and then suddenly a figure comes in attached to strings and solves the entire problem of the plot of the story. And that's why that character is called Deus Ex Machina, the god from the machine. So this character is sent in to suddenly somehow solve all of the problems in the story. And that's what it looks like to me. Like, this guy has problems in society, problems in his life, problems that he critiques. And then Islam comes in suddenly as this big savior, as this big god that solves the problem. It's kind of strange. Okay, I have to do something here. Joshua Wayne York made a super chat and just attached emojis. Stefan Milojevic made a super chat of 250 RSD and said, "Congrats to you and your wife on your baby boy. We would like to see you again in a Zoom video soon. Sorry for bad Englando. Stay the best." Thank you so much. I hope I will make a Zoom meeting with everybody quite soon again. The High Evolutionary made a super chat of $10 and said, "To add to the diaper fund, LOL." Thank you. Lucis MMV made a super chat of $100. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And said, "Good point, David. Diapers are expensive." Thank you so much. Really, seriously, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Hindu Historian made a super sticker, fist bump as usual. Thank you. I appreciate it. ASDF made a super sticker and said, "Diaper power." Thank you. Okay, I will read the rest later. I will go on. Thank you so much, everybody.
And it was sort of like the more you rebelled, the cooler you were with your peers to a certain extent. And that was sort of the path I went down for, let's say, like 7th grade, 8th grade. The more I would move up in social status, the worse I would be in terms of like my grades and relationships with the adults. And it was probably the worst year of my life up until that point. And at the end of like my 8th grade, I was pretty much jaded. I was like, man, this is all fake. Everyone's fake. This whole trying to be popular, and the teachers and the students and the this and the that, it's all just lame. I was just over it by that point. So around this time, going into high school.
It's all fake, Mo. It's all fake, man. It's all fake. Everything we're doing is fake. Everything is fake. Everything is fake, bro. Everything is fake, man. I don't know. I guess I can just kind of I understand where he's coming from. I hope he gets somewhere with this.
Rather than trying to be influenced by what was popular or what my peers said was cool, or even the adults, what they were trying to say is right or wrong, I really turned to music, and that sort of became my spiritual outlet. Like, music was really sort of my religion. Programs started coming out where you could make your own music, produce it, record it. So I started turning towards that. And I learned how to just make graphics, websites, artwork, logos, write music, record
graphics, websites, artwork, logos, music.
I
don't know what I'm listening to.
Make beats, work with other people, and that was really like my focus throughout high school, you could say. I believe that is what I wanted to do with my life. So by the time I was a senior in high school, me and some of my friends, we had been recording music over the past couple of years, and it was like, okay, well, we're seniors now, we're about to graduate, let's release some of this music. So me and my best friend, we released this album, this EP. It had like 8 tracks on it. It was all original music, original beats, artwork, lyrics, everything. So we just came to school one day and we just started, showing it to people and asking them if they wanted to buy it. And people were really impressed. I mean, this was like, we were sort of at the cutting edge of this whole technological revolution where everybody was able to record and do these things. Now this was back in like 2003, 2004 when we were putting this out. So we were sort of ahead of the curve. And when people saw what we were doing, a lot of my friends that I had known over the years through sports and through class and this and that, they were really impressed and they wanted to get involved. So I was like, man, this is really cool. People really are impressed with the quality of what we did. So then I started working with all my friends, and we put together this mixtape for the high school. And I was sort of like in charge of the whole operation. I did the graphics, the track list. I was sort of the one working with the different producers, the people who were mixing and mastering. So I'm
just trying to bring some entertainment into it.
put together this project, and it was very successful. And I sort of realized at that point, this is what I'm going to do with my life. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to produce albums, maybe start a record label, make my own music, record it, do the graphics, the logos. I've already done it. I know I can do it. That's what I want to do with my life. Also, I forgot to mention, this was basketball season. It was my senior year of high school.
I forgot to mention something else. That is, I guess, not about Islam.
High school, and I was hoping to maybe get a scholarship and play basketball in college. But that season, I injured my shoulder, and I had to get surgery. So I was out for the season, and basically my basketball career came to a halt. But I really wasn't worried about it, because for the first time, now I could just devote all of my time to music. I didn't have to go to practice and the games and to this and to that. I could just focus purely on music. And also, since it was my senior year, I had to think about college. And if I wasn't going to choose which college I went to based on a basketball scholarship, I had to shop around a bit and see what would be the best fit for me. So around that time, I went to a college fair that was at our high school. And I was thinking that since
I was going to go do something else, I wanted to go play a game.
I love doing music, and also I love doing graphic design and websites and logos and album covers. Let me study graphic design, because even if I don't become rich and wealthy off of music, a good plan B would be to just, get a graphic design job somewhere. I could still do music in my spare time. And
good point. Someone said, wait, Ocean Tiag said, suffer with us, AP. Yes, this is what we're doing. We are in this together, everybody. We are in this together. We we have to endure this. We are in this together.
Still have like a day job and be able to pay the bills. So there was a college nearby. It was maybe 45 minutes from my house, just outside Baltimore. And they had a really nice art program. And I went and I checked out their campus. I really liked it. They had these brand new dorms. And I was like, man, I want to go here. And I remember at the time, like my uncles and everyone was telling me, like, college, it's the best years of your life. You have that freedom. You're around all your friends. You get to just have fun. And then after that, it's like, okay, you have to be a mature adult and get a job and raise a family and this and that.
Silvery Feather said, are you not entertained?
Yeah, so I was really looking forward to college. So by the end of the summer, by the time I was starting college, I basically had a record label at that point with different artists. We produced an album. So I was going into college with this new album I produced.
He loves talking about himself. He loves talking about himself. And I kind of that is kind of the point of the video, I guess. I don't know. He loves talking about himself. I'm not saying this to insult him or to criticize him. People love talking about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. People love it when others listen to you. When you want to have somebody's attention, somebody's sympathy and friendship, you would like to ask them about how they are and what they are doing and what they are interested in. That's kind of, I guess that's a normal thing. But he loves talking about himself and his past, his interests and achievements. It's nice. But hey, I would do that too. I just don't understand why we are halfway through the video and we're still talking about music.
And basically, I'd say by the end of my first year at college, I basically felt like at that point, I had sort of experienced everything that I had been chasing in life. I already made several albums. I was on my own at the dorms at college, being able to do whatever I wanted to do. And I just started thinking like, all right, so is this life? Is this what it's all about? Just making music, just trying to have fun, party, hang out with people, do this and that. Is this what the rest of my life is supposed to entail? And around that same time, my grandfather was dying of cancer. And I saw the way that really devastated my father. And I saw my grandfather on his deathbed. And just
okay, I guess we got the message. So he had a lot of fun and he did a lot of things to enjoy life. And then his father died and he realized people die. And that's why Islam. That's why Islam. We're done here. Thanks for watching, everybody. Just kidding. Come on, man.
Just going through that whole experience.
By the way, dear Saajid, this is not meant to be insulting to you. I mean, no disrespect. I'm really trying to understand and I'm really trying to critique something.
It's being confronted with death, realizing that our lives are going to come to an end for sure. Seeing my parents getting older, knowing that I was getting older, I finally just confronted this question that I hadn't thought about since I was maybe in elementary.
Well, people die, people cry, people die, people cry, birds fly. Where do I go when I die? Don't tell me lie. Islam is true.
School. And that question was, what's the meaning of life? What's the point? Why do we exist? How do we exist? What happens when we die? Because when I was young, it was sufficient to just say, believe in Jesus, you'll go to heaven. and then I could just chase my desires. But as I got older, I got tired of chasing my desires, and I also started to realize that, this whole Christianity thing, this whole Jesus died for your sins thing, people don't really believe it.
Babies cry, people die, birds fly, apple pie. Wait, what did you say?
Started to realize that, this whole Christianity thing, this whole Jesus died for your sins thing, people don't really believe it. Throughout.
Now we're coming to the subject. No more apple pie. He said people don't really believe that Jesus died for your sins, and that the people don't really believe in this whole Christianity thing. This whole Christianity thing, people don't believe in it at all. That is interesting. I will go to the closest church, and I will ask them what all of that is about. Why people don't believe in all of this.
Throughout my childhood, and as I got older, America in particular really got further and further and further away from religion, and just seeing how people reacted to death. If they really believed that people were going to heaven, why are you so miserable when someone dies? Like, I understand you're going to miss them, but if you really believe that they're in paradise now, you should be happy for them. And also, being in an environment like college, I was realizing that a lot of my professors, the people who were supposed to be the intellectuals, a lot of them didn't believe in God.
I didn't freeze, not literally, but wait. So his point here was basically that people around him who are Christians, when people around them die, they get very sad and upset and get very emotional, but he doesn't understand why, because they believe that people go to heaven, and heaven is supposed to be better. So why are they sad when people die? I mean, I kind of get the logic behind it. It is logical. Yes, it is logical, but humans don't just work on logic. So I wonder if there's something missing with our friend Saajid here. I really wonder what his real name is. But people don't just act on logic. I mean, that's not how humanity works. That's not how any living being, that's not how any animal functions. People don't just function based on logic. Even if they believe that when someone leaves you, they go to a better place, you are still sad that that person departed you, right? I mean, you have a child, and your child has just won the opportunity to go to the best university in the world for free, and to have a brilliant career and a brilliant future in front of him, and you are aware of that, and you think, wow, my child did it, that's amazing. But still, if your child has to travel across the world for that, and you will not see your child for quite a long time, then you will feel devastated and you will feel sad about that. Similarly, if you believe that people go to heaven, you can still be devastated about the fact that they die and you will never, ever be able to see them again and to communicate with them again. That's quite normal. I mean, I was a firm believer in Islam when one person in my life died, and I was aware that this person will now finally go to heaven and be, greeted by God and whatever it is. But I was just devastated by the fact that I will never be able to have a conversation with this person ever again. I methis is what this is about. It's just emotional, not necessarily just logic. But finally, he said that people, professors at his university, were not religious. That's not news. That's quite normal in many cultures. Teachers, professors tend to be less conservative, less religious than the average population.
Supposed to be the intellectuals, a lot of them didn't believe in God. And I know this because, for example, I was taking art history classes, and a lot of historical art was religious. And I had a teacher who would say very blasphemous things, sort of mock religious figures. And I also had other teachers who would say blasphemous things that basically negated Christian belief. I also worked as a secretary for one of the heads of the department. So I would overhear some of the conversations some of the professors would have, and I heard people saying stuff like, religion, it's just an opiate of the masses. And I was like, man, nobody really believes this. What is life all about?
What is funny is actually that the phrase "religion is the opiate of the masses" is often misunderstood and taken out of context. Karl Marx did say that, and did afterwards criticize religion and see it as a wrong form of medication for society. But what he actually meant when he said that, what Karl Marx actually meant when he said religion is the opiate of the masses, was that people have an existential suffering. People have a condition of suffering, and people want to go through life, and they suffer with everything, all the factors of suffering in life, in our environments. And religion religion acts like a medicine, makes you feel better about life, makes you feel more emotional, more loving about life. In Karl Marx's time, opium was not something that was considered a bad, terrible, addictive drug that was considered something evil. In his time, it was considered something helpful. It was a medication to treat people who have pain. So what he actually meant was that religion is, pain medication. Of course, afterward, he said that religion is not the answer and that people should get rid of religion. That is Karl Marx's point afterwards. But opiates were medicine in Karl Marx's time. So that phrase is actually not what some people, including our friend here, thinks it means.
I just became obsessed with this question. I became completely obsessed. Like, all right, I don't believe in Christianity anymore. I don't believe that you can just chase your desires and be happy. What is the meaning of life? What's this really all about? And as I became obsessed with this question, I would ask people around me, and I realized that, man, people don't know the answer to this question. People don't even want to talk about this question. It was really this sort of weird state I found myself in of confusion and just being appalled that how are we all living in this world and we don't even know what it's all about? So I'll say for the next couple of years, I couldn't think about anything else.
I had similar stances and I had similar emotions, similar thoughts when I was in my high school years and afterwards. And it's quite normal. I tended to be a person who is less social, who doesn't hang out with the popular guys, who is not interested in stuff that everyone is interested in. I wouldn't be interested in sports, cars, body parts of women and all that stuff. So I used to occupy myself more with politics, philosophy, religion, this and that, and I would be bored with all the stuff that society deals with, and I would be like, what is all of this about? Why do people just waste their time with this bunch of nonsense? So I kind of relate to that, but I also understand that he was a very lonely person probably in that time.
Obsessed. I was like, all right, well, let me see what these intellectuals have to say about life. So I was studying, atheism, philosophy, history, science, and I would just realize, man, these people, it's just conjecture. These are just human beings trying to think about life, and they just come to their conclusions. There's no real set answer to this. There's no real factual, for sure, answer to this question from these people.
That's what it's supposed to be. People looking for answers and not having a final answer, because people are constantly looking for answers and trying to find the better answer after the better answer after the better answer. So, yeah. That's what it is about. There is nothing wrong with that. There is, again, a misconception about this whole thing. I do miss how he came to the conclusion that Christianity is not the right religion, because as far as it seems right now, he has a problem with the meaning of life and how people waste their lives. So he's looking for a meaning of life beyond death. I don't believe in religion. I don't believe in Christianity. I am technically an atheist myself. I'm not saying that as my own opinion. I'm just critiquing his own approach and logic here. I don't understand why he then did not stick with Christianity, because he now jumped to, he didn't believe in Christianity anymore. But why?
So after I felt like I exhausted looking into the human conjecture aspect of why we're here, how we got here, what happens when we die, I wanted to look into some of the more spiritual traditions, Hinduism, Buddhism, and these sorts of things. They also just appeared to me like they were just sort of human conjectures. They didn't really have proof for what they believed. And I was getting really deep into my own head, my own thoughts, just trying to think for myself, trying to just figure things out. And then after going through all of this for months and months, one night it just hit me. I just remembered my fitra. I remembered when I was young, how natural and how sure I was that God existed. I remembered that feeling I had, and it sort of started to come back to me, this sort of innate understanding that there is a creator. There's one God who created us, who's all-knowing, who knows what's going on, and I wanted to explore that again. I was like, let me look into that. So I wanted to go back into my Christian roots.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, we're coming back to that. I still don't buy it that he had this innate belief in the one God, and he knew it was only one God, and he went back to that. It's okay, whatever. I find it funny how he brushed off all all the Eastern religions, the Indian and Far Eastern religions, within 2 seconds or so.
I went and I bought a Bible, the King James Version. I started listening to Bible radio. I downloaded like an audiobook of the entire Bible. I was listening to Bible study, and I started signing up for classes in college to study the New Testament, comparative religion, and I wanted to really focus on the Bible and about this feeling I had, this intuition.
He studied atheism? What? How do you study atheism?
I had of there being one true God, and I wanted to know if this God communicated with us. So the next semester at school, I was taking this New Testament class, and it was taught by an actual preacher. And anyone who's really tried studying the Bible, it's pretty confusing. It's not really easy to read. It's not really easy to understand. It's a huge book. There's lots of stuff that's just sort of hard to understand. So although I was doing a lot of studying, things were still very unclear to me.
Are you kidding me, man? Are you kidding me? I don't want to sound like that, but I really want to. This really brings back my whole thought of making a Bible versus Quran comparison. I know so many Christian people who grew up studying their Bible in one way or another. If it is a professional study, a study in a specific big religious environment or not, but so many of them study it. When I open the Bible, I have it right here. When I open it and start reading it, this is a New American Standard Bible, by the way. When I start reading it, it is quite easy to read, quite easy to follow. You're going from beginning to end, beginning to end, beginning to end. He thinks this is hard to read and this is hard to understand. And as far as I understand it, due to his obvious conclusion, he will argue that the Quran, in comparison, is not hard to read and is not hard to understand and is just easier to comprehend. That is ludicrous. The Quran is, yes, the Bible. The Bible is a huge book. It contains so much information. If you wrote it out as big as the Quran, the text here is tiny. If you wrote it as big as the Quran, it would be huge. The Quran is a small book with no proper narrative, with no proper beginning and no end. Words and thoughts all thrown into each other. I have a hyperactive mind, ADHD. I jump from thought to thought, from music to memory to plans and this and that all the time. And I feel like the Quran is worse than my brain. Seriously.
But there was one thing in particular about this class that I took in college that blew me away. And that was when we were studying how the Bible was compiled. When my teacher was telling us about how human beings came together after so many years and started trying to decide and decipher what would go into the gospel, the New Testament, I was shocked. There was no way I could believe that this was the preserved word of God. I had no idea about how it was translated and passed down and about how people came together to try to decide what would be put in the Bible. And I just knew that this couldn't be looked at as the precise, exact word of God.
What? That is not a thought that Christians have. Dear Christians, correct me here. Dear Christians, ex-Christians, whoever you are, add to this, correct me here, but this is not a Christian thought. This is not something that Christianity is focused on. This is not something that a Christian thinks about, that the Bible is supposed to be the exact preserved word of God. That is not something that even carries any relevance in Christianity. This is a very Islamic thought. This is a very Islamic thought. This is something that, I don't know what's going on here, but this sounds like this is something, he has a retrospect approach that is completely based on his Islamic understanding of what religion and what scripture is supposed to be. Because in Islam, it is the big claim of Islam that the Quran is the direct word of Allah, directly spoken by him and perfectly preserved word for word. Christianity does not have this major concept and this major claim. It does not rely on a huge assertion that this is the exact word of God and it has been preserved text for text, letter for letter. That is not a thought within Christianity. Within Christianity, what is believed is that the Bible is a collection of many different books that were inspired by God and that were written down, reported and compiled by many different people. It is not meant to be the exact direct word of God. It cannot be, because it does not make such a claim. It is inspired by God, and what is preserved is, as the Bible says, the law, that God's law will be preserved, that he will preserve his law. Letter for letter. I don't know if that is within the text too, but what will be preserved is the law, not the direct word of God. That is not a Christian concept. So I do not know what is going on here, but this just confirms what I thought at the very beginning, that this guy has a cognitive bias where he learns something Islamic, then thinks back about the past and thinks that he thought that way because he thinks that way now. I don't believe that this guy thought, the Bible doesn't sound like this is the exact word of God, that this was perfectly preserved. That's not what a Christian is supposed to think. That's not what a Christian thinks. Very strange. Please correct me if I'm if I'm misunderstanding something here, something is getting lost here, but that's not a Christian thought. Yeah, Christians pretty much agree with me on that. Yes, exactly. Penasaran said, you are correct, AP. This guy judges Christianity according to Islamic standard value. Yes. In Islam, the preservation of the Quran as the exact word of Allah matters because that is a claim which the Quran explicitly makes over and over again, and which Muslims propagate all the time. Christianity doesn't make such a claim. Strange. Okay, I'll continue. This is weird.
I knew that wasn't the case. So when I started looking deeper into the New Testament, the Old Testament, I started to think, I can have faith in the idea that these scriptures and these things were revealed to prophets and that some of these stories did in fact happen. However, I can't decipher what is true and what is false, what has been truly preserved and passed down factually versus what has been changed and lost. So around this time, I really just started to understand why Christianity was such a faith-based religion, why so much of it was just based on just having faith and the importance of having faith, because that aspect of factual proof was lacking. And at that point in my life...
That's the point, though. I'm sorry, that's the point, though. I'm not a Christian. I've never been a Christian, but this guy is kind of coming from an ex-Christian perspective and trying to argue against Christianity based on a wrong understanding of Christianity. Christianity is supposed to be faith-based. It is supposed to be that way. You are supposed to read the scripture, rely on its message, take the law from it, take the message from it, and then put your faith into the idea, the belief that this is indeed the true religion, the word, inspired word, the message of God, which you are supposed to follow. You are supposed to have faith in the message of the book, not analyze whether this has been preserved word for word exactly. That's not the point of Christianity. Strange. I'm sorry. I'll quickly read some super chats before they get lost. Mega Crunker made a super sticker and said thumbs up. Thank you. Nama Money Deep made a super chat of $50. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Oshin Tiagi made a super chat and said, sorry, I know diapers are expensive, but I'm a grad student. You are very brave, by the way. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Oshin Tiagi. I appreciate your consideration, and thank you. Varun made a super chat of $5 and said, should I wait for the pod when he goes to prison? I know, it's... the joke here is that many people who convert to Islam convert in prison and are all in drugs and all that, and then they find their way to Islam. So that's that's the joke here, I guess. I didn't want to make that joke, although I had it on my mind at the beginning, not going to lie. But yeah, that apparently didn't happen. I hope. I hope he won't surprise us with that within the next 10 minutes that we have left. And finally, Netaverse made a super chat and said, of $20 and said, Ridva, my technically atheist friend, I'm certain that your sweet baby would be better equipped to explain the meaning of life than this hip-hop Dawa genius and atheist university grad here. Oh yeah, congrats again. Thank you so much, Netaverse. I appreciate that. Thank you. Very much, very much. Okay, I'll go on.
It wasn't that I had any sort of preference regarding a particular religion or philosophy. I was very objective about trying to find the truth. If atheism was correct, I was ready to be an atheist. If Buddhism was correct, I was ready to be a Buddhist. So this whole idea of having this blind faith in something was just not what I was looking for. However, I
don't know if I want to pick on the semantics because he said atheism is correct, but I'll just drop it. Come on. Cool.
Did feel like, okay, perhaps this is all there is. Perhaps God did communicate with people in the past and we just lost their scriptures. We can't really decipher what's true and what's not. So I was sort of stuck in between Judaism, Christianity, and agnosticism. I believed that there was a God. I felt like that made the most sense and that it was just part of human intuition to know this. But the specifics about what he wants from us, what's right and wrong, what happens when we die, communicating with him, what happened in the past, I felt like all of that was sort of unknown to a large extent.
It's a very strange thing to believe that God exists. He's true. He has a message for you, but we lost his book. I understand that this is a past thought that he had, but it's a very strange thing to believe.
Still continued studying and trying to find answers to these questions. A lot of it was just sort of internal thinking, praying. It's very easy to become sort of manic in that sort of situation, like looking at coincidences that are happening in your life and just really just trying to make sense of things and figure things out without there being a real clear-cut answer. So one night, as usual, I was thinking about these things. I was trying to study the Bible, and it hit me. I realized I never in my life read the Quran. I never really considered Islam. And
that came out of nowhere. What? Did I miss something? Wait, that completely came out of nowhere.
Well, and it hit me. I realized I never in my life read the Quran. I never really considered Islam.
What? How did that emerge? How did that happen? That came out of nowhere. I don't understand. What? Wait, he was reading the Bible and then he read, oh, wait. And God loved, I never read the Quran. What? That came out of nowhere. That just surprised me totally, but that's weird. That is strange. I hear this thing. Is that, am I right? I'm not very familiar with American populations and accents, but he sounds like one of those white people who are, I don't know how to say this, but you know, people who are interested in more in the subcultures. And yeah, I guess he was a kind of a rap guy. I guess that's where, I don't know, whatever. Let's go on.
And the reason was because when I was in high school, 9/11 happened. And when 9/11 happened, it really changed America forever. It changed much of the world. When that event took place, I remember we got let out of school early. I remember it was all over the news. They kept showing the buildings falling. And just nothing was the same after that. Like I said, I grew up on Fort Meade. And you used to just be able to come and go on Fort Meade as you pleased.
Did he say he was in high school when 9/11 happened? Can anyone tell me how old he is supposed to be estimatedly right now? I'm really curious about his age. I can't calculate that stuff. I'm terrible with ages.
But right after 9/11 happened, they built these gates. They had armed guards there. When you would try to enter, for example, we would try to go to school like normal. They'd stop and pop our trunk and search our car. Of course, now when you went to the airport, they would search everything. And it's just like everything changed after that.
He's in his 30s, people say 30, mid-30s, late 30s. Okay.
Especially coming from that military background, a lot of our friends and family were now going to war. And it was just a really intense, crazy time. And during that time, I went to a website and it was saying, you know, here are some quotes from the Quran. They want to kill us. Anyone who's not a Muslim, they want to take over the world. So I just wrote off Islam after that. I didn't personally know any Muslims. No one ever approached me to talk to me about Islam. So from that point on, from the time I was in high school until that moment, to me, it was just common sense that Islam was this terrorist religion of lunatics. But that night, I realized, you know what? I never read the Quran.
You know what I find very funny? I did not think I should do this, but oh boy, should I do this? Should I do this? Should I really do this? Should I really do this? Okay, I'll do this. Earlier today, I was looking at his channel, and now that he mentioned lunatic terrorist religion, I was looking through his channel, and I saw a video that he made quite recently. What was that? Here, Paul Joseph Watson and niece of Osama bin Laden. This is a video in which he talked about Osama bin Laden, and I thought, oh, okay, this guy is a hardcore fundamentalist Muslim at the moment, and I really wonder how he mentions Osama bin Laden, if at all, and how the comment section of this is. And Osama bin Laden. Now here we see the responses of his comment section. This video of critiquing Paul Joseph Watson and the niece of Osama bin Laden has 17,000 views. And look at this. Wait, here's one of the top comments. Read this top comment. People like this cause more corruption than Osama. 88 likes on Saajid Lipham's channel, who used to falsely think that Islam was just a religion of lunatics and terrorism. The comment says, people like this cause more corruption than Osama. By people like this, he's referring to, of course, the niece of Osama bin Laden, who is, by the way, a person who has become outspoken, critical of Muslim culture, supporter of American freedom, and so on. And this person says, people like this, the niece of Osama bin Laden, who is now an outspoken denouncer of Islamic terrorism and culture and who is in support of American freedom, cause more corruption than Osama bin Laden, who was the leader of a major Islamic terrorist organization and is also thought to be responsible for 9/11, which was the worst Islamic terrorist attack that happened in recent history. This person says people who are outspoken about Islamic culture cause more corruption than Osama bin Laden. I think I saw some other comments along those lines. I was looking for, wait, if she's Osama's niece, then how did they allow her in America? People have been able to disprove Islam. 9/11 was an inside job. Noor bin Laden suffering from Stockholm syndrome because she's now praising America where she lives. And they consider America the enemy, which holds her captive. Was there something else? I actually took screenshots of something like this from a recent Mohammed Hijab post too, which I then just dropped because he deleted his posts. But yeah, there were some more comments here about Osama bin Laden, basically how Osama bin Laden is falsely blamed. Bin Laden was probably a part of CIA in 9/11. Definitely was an inside job. If she's legit, she would be the first to expose this instead of pandering to the official story of the neocons. Okay, this alleges that Osama was actually working together with the CIA, and that 9/11 was an inside job. But anyway, so basically every comment that I saw here, which was about Osama bin Laden, was basically either a praise or excuses, apologetics for Osama bin Laden, or a complete denial of what happened, thereby really making us think about what this guy represents and whether his prior thoughts about Islam as a crazy religion of terrorism were really wrong or not, and what he pushes here, what he represents today.
And I know it can't just be this terrorist religion, because when I was young, I remember seeing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on TV, and I asked my dad, I said, Dad, what kind of name is that, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? And he told me that that's a Muslim name. He's a Muslim. And also there was Muhammad Ali. I knew Muhammad Ali was a Muslim. These are American heroes, and they weren't terrorists, but they were Muslim. So I was like, okay, it can't just be as simple as they're all terrorists. There are Muslims who they just believe in it legitimately as a religion. So let me go read the Quran. So as soon as that thought entered into my mind, I went to the computer, I typed in Quran in Google, and I clicked the link, and I immediately started reading the Quran.
So he had the false assumption that Islam was a religion of terrorism and that Muslims were terrorists. I really wonder if he will conclude that that was completely wrong and that Islam was completely misunderstood and not a violent religion, because this guy also believes in an Islamic state where people like me should be executed for leaving Islam and being outspoken about it. I guess what matters here is not that Islam is not a violent religion, but how you redefine violent and how you redefine terrorist. So this guy believes that people should be brutally murdered, brutally killed for their opinions and beliefs and life choices. But he also thinks that his thoughts about Islam that he had in the past were a complete misconception, because Islam is actually not a religion of terrorism and violence. Very, very funny.
An English translation. So I clicked on Al-Fatiha, the opener, and I noticed that they had 3 translations for every verse. So I knew that there must have been an original language that this was being translated from, because they had 3 translations for every verse. And as soon as I started reading this book, I knew that
I don't understand that. I mean, of course, what else? Islam is a religion that originated in a time long ago in a different culture. Of course, it is translated from a different language, from a single language into different translations. Well, I don't understand the point that he tried to make there. Did you think the Quran was originally in English in Arabia or something?
this was from the Creator. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, all praises for...
That came out of nowhere again, wait.
And as soon as I started reading this book, I knew that this was from the Creator. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, all praises for Allah, Lord of the worlds, Master of the Day of Judgment. I went to Surah Al-Baqarah, the next...
That made you think this was from God?
The next chapter. This is the book. In it is no doubt guidance for those who believe in Allah. And I was just shook. I got chills. I knew, as clear as day, as clear as the sun is bright, I knew this was from God. This was from the Creator. This was what I had been looking for all these years. I knew for a fact, there was no doubt in my mind whatsoever, because having spent all those years searching, reading different books, hearing different people explain philosophies and conjectures and stories and scriptures, I knew that this was not from a human being. There's no way a human being came up with this. There was no doubt in my mind, this was the truth.
What in the world? We have 5 minutes left on this video. We have 5 minutes left on this video. This guy has now, in his story, converted to Islam. And the reason he converted to Islam was that he read the first page and the second page of the Quran, and he thought, this must be from God. Okay, this is true. I'm going to believe in this. Are you kidding me, man? When I was critiquing these pop converts to Islam, like the Wandering Quinn or Dawood Kim or whatever they are called, I was thinking, hey, I'm going after low-hanging fruit. These people have nothing to offer. They're just basically telling us how they converted to Islam because of their emotions, because they heard the Quran, because they heard something about Islam, and they thought, oh, this is beautiful. This must be true. I'll just believe in this. And here I am. I seriously thought that this guy is a serious, smart, intellectual Muslim apologist, Muslim representative who will probably have something more solid, something harder to say, something harder to deconstruct. And what this guy is telling me is that he read the first 2 pages of the Quran and he thought, okay, that's it. That's it. That's it. This is from Allah. I believe this is from Allah. Man. I don't even know what to say. Okay, how about this? How about I offer you a different story? How about I start reading the Quran together with you? Just what he just described. The first page and the second page. how about we read it together? Because recently I had a conversation during my visit in Turkey with somebody who asked me why I don't believe in Islam anymore. And this was somebody that I knew from since my childhood. And I normally don't talk to people about Islam in private very much. I only talk to them if they specifically ask me about it. And I said, do you really want to talk about this? Because I normally don't really, go into this stuff. And she said, yeah, please tell me, what is it that made you lose your faith in Islam? And I said, well, if you really want to find out, then I just want to do this one little thing with you. And she's a student of medicine, and she has a very good understanding of contemporary science and all that, and is very well read. I remember that she would read tons of stuff all the time during her childhood, during her teenage years. I said, let's do this. I will open the Quran and you just start reading and you tell me what you think about it, because this is what made me lose my faith. Let's do it together. This is the first chapter. It says, in the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, sovereign of the day of recompense. It is you we worship, and you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger or those who are astray. The end. This is the first chapter, the opening, or the opener, the first page of the Quran. That's it. This is the first page of the Quran. And when he read this, according to his testimony right now, when he read this, he thought, "Whoa, that's it. That's it. That's it, man. That's it. This can't be from anyone else but from the Creator of us, from the Creator of the worlds and the heavens. This is it. This did it for me. When I read this, I know that this is from God. This is no discussion necessary." What? But here, let's get it more into it. Here's the real deal. Here's what we really come to. This is the first actual chapter of the Quran, chapter 2, Surah Baqarah. Alif Lam Mim. No one has any idea what that even means. Seriously, no one has any idea what that means. Really, I'm not joking. No one has any idea what those letters stand for. This is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for those conscious of Allah, who believe in the unseen, establish prayer, and spend out of what we have provided for them, and who believe in what has been revealed to you and what was revealed before you, and of the hereafter they are certain. Those are upon guidance from their Lord, and it is those who are the successful. Indeed, those who disbelieve, we are only at verse 6 of this first chapter. Indeed, those who disbelieve, it is all the same for them, whether you warn them or do not warn them, they will not believe. Allah has set a seal upon their heart and upon their hearing, and over their vision is a veil, and for them is a great punishment. And of the people are some who say, we believe in Allah in the last day, but they are not believers. They deceive Allah. They think they deceive Allah and those who believe, but they deceive not except themselves, and they do not perceive it. In their hearts is a disease, so Allah has increased their disease, and for them is a painful punishment because they used to lie. And our dear friend Saajid here says that this is what led him to believe that this can be from none other than God, from none other than Allah, from none other than the powerful, mighty, almighty creator of the universe, of humanity. I don't know what's happening to my hair here, but this is what he thought. This convinced him that Islam is the truth. The first prayer, which is basically just a short prayer, and then this, which basically says, this is a book about which there is no doubt. This book is absolutely true. Believe in everything that is in here. And those who don't believe, there's nothing you can do about them. If they don't believe, they don't believe. Allah will punish them. They are dumb. They are dishonest. In their heart is disease. They are liars. This is how it starts. And this is what convinced our friend Saajid here that Islam is the truth. Oh boy. Oh boy. What the hell, man? What the hell? When I read this, I was very surprised that this is how my holy book begins. And when I showed this to my to the person in Turkey that I talked to, she said, she went a few verses down further into this, and she was like, this doesn't sound like a book that is very pleasant to read. This doesn't sound like a book that actually tells us any truth. It makes scientific assertions further down into these verses that just sound extremely stupid, ridiculous. That don't sound like this is from God at all. And indeed, this person is still a Muslim, and she read this and she was like, does this sound stupid? That's what she said. That's what she said. It does sound stupid, doesn't it? But this convinced our dear friend Saajid that Islam is the truth. No arguments, nothing. Just this. Emotions. I'm disappointed. I don't know what to think. But hey, let's go on.
That God did give us a scripture. He did preserve it. He did send guidance to us. And not only that, but the more I read it, I realized that it was confirming all those intuitions I had.
He just said that God did preserve it. I don't know where he got that conclusion from by just reading the Quran.
It was reaffirming my fitrah, telling us about God, there being one God, him sending the prophets, the day of judgment, the hereafter, talking about Adam, Moses, Abraham, Jesus, all these different things. Everything that I had intuitively believed in, even the things after studying Judaism and Christianity that I felt were true, however they were lost.
You intuitively believed in Adam, Jesus, and this and that? How? It was telling us about Adam, Jesus, Moses, and all that stuff, you know? It doesn't sound very... No offense, Saajid, seriously, no offense. I'm not trying to mock you or anything, but it doesn't sound very informative. It doesn't sound very good.
I found them confirmed in the Quran. And I was completely... Obviously, I was never the same again after that. I was so ecstatic that God did actually send us guidance. Because up until that point, after everything I'd been through, I thought we were just here in this world to just sort of try to figure things out ourselves, not really knowing for certain. No, God sent us guidance and he preserved it. And it's clear as day that this is from him. No human being could have written this. So from that point on, I was just all day, every day, reading the Quran. I downloaded an audiobook of the Quran. I'd listen to it in the car. And that was it. I was a Muslim. I knew that this was the truth. And it was so clear to me that I really felt, I sincerely believed at that time that if I gave other people the Quran, that they would see that it was clearly from God. I knew that all these people around me, my friends and family and neighbors and classmates, they never read this book. They don't really know about Islam. I'm going to give them copies of the Quran. They're going to read it and they're going to realize that this is the truth from the Creator.
That's a very dreamy way of thinking. Well, I'm just going to give them this, and when they see this, they will believe that this is the truth. They will believe it. I know it. They will believe it because I read it and I believed it. Simplistic, nice thinking. Simplistic. Few things. I'll just continue with this right now. As far as I see, we have 2 minutes left. He's probably going to conclude it right now, but he didn't provide any argument, anything for Islam at all, except that he read this book and he thought, wow, okay, this is good. This sounds like Allah sent this to us. This sounds like he did it. This is basically me converting to a religion and going out there and saying, and going out there and explaining to people why I converted to Islam. And then people expect from me that I actually explain to them why my religion, which I just converted to, is true, why I'm absolutely convinced that it is truth. But all I do is just to say, hey guys, I read this book and it's awesome, man. When I read this book, everything was clear to me. It was amazing. Here, read it. That's it. No one will pay attention. No one will be convinced by that.
And that was sort of where I was at that time. Instantly, I felt like it was incumbent upon me to give da'wah and to invite other people to Islam, because Allah guided me, and I knew the situation that these other people were in because I came from the same background as them. I grew up in the same environment as them. And I felt like if I didn't share this message with them, I would be held accountable in the hereafter. So immediately I started trying to give people copies of the Quran. And of course, anyone who's tried to give da'wah before, you understand that Allah guides whom he pleases. So that was something that was a hard pill to swallow. In that as I was calling friends and family and people to Islam, they weren't seeing in it what I saw in it.
He learned the Quran, he was reading it, and he knew that he needs to spread this message. He needs to spread it to others, because if he doesn't spread, then he will be held accountable in the hereafter. how you came to that conclusion. What happened there? How you slid down there is completely beyond me.
But the point is that I knew there was no doubt in my mind the Quran was from the Creator. And at that point on, from that point until this day, I've just been consistently trying to learn more and more about Islam. I actually started meeting Muslims, realizing that there are mosques all over Maryland, that there are other people who have had similar experiences to me.
There are not many. You are a rarity, and that has a reason.
I applied to the Islamic University of Medina. I was accepted. To give you an idea of the time frame, the day that I really publicly sort of announced to the world, in a sense, that I was a Muslim, it was August 1st, 2008. That was when I gave up music. I announced to everyone who I'd been working with for all these years and stuff. I was like, look, I'm giving up music. I'm a Muslim now. I want to learn about the prophets, about the Quran. And I just started trying to invite people to Islam. In 2010, I arrived in Medina. I spent the first 3 years learning Arabic. And then after that, I've been studying in the College of Da'wah wa Usul ad-Din, which is inviting people to Islam and learning the fundamentals of the religion. Inshallah,
I'll let him finish.
Soon I will be returning back to the US, and I hope for the rest of my life that I can be involved in inviting people to Islam, sharing some of what I've been taught, some of what I've experienced over the years. I've really benefited tremendously having been given this opportunity to study in Saudi Arabia for all these years, and I'm very excited to start teaching classes.
Did he destroy his guitar? Did he do it? Did he destroy his instruments?
Giving lectures, posting more videos and content, just sharing the religion of Islam to those who don't know about it, and also helping Muslims get closer to Allah and learn more about their religion, sharing reminders and benefits. So if anyone is interested in following my work, you can just subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can check all the links in the description. I'm on social media. And I really appreciate you taking the time out to watch this video. Jazakumullahu khairan. May Allah guide all of us to what's best. Barakallahu feekum wa salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sharing reminders.
I have no idea what to say, man. I have no clue. I don't know how else to express this. I have absolutely no damn clue what just happened and what I'm supposed to say. I feel bad, man. I feel bad. I seriously feel bad. I really feel bad about this whole thing right now. Man. So, okay. I don't even know where to start. So this guy skipped many religions, had a pretty bad understanding, pretty skewed understanding of Christianity, eventually started reading the Quran, immediately believed that this must be from God. Wow, this must be from God. This is the truth, absolute truth. This is what I was looking for, bro, man. And then he immediately decided that he needs to go out there. He needs to spread this to others so that he doesn't burn in hell. And then he went out there. And then after he decided that this must be from Allah, because he was convinced that this must be from Allah, then he went on to learn the basics about Islam and to study Islam and to get an education in Islam, to then spread Islam to others. Because he was convinced by the first page and the second page of the Quran, he thought this must be from Allah. And then he started learning about Islam in order to spread it to others. I don't know. I'm completely disappointed. I am entirely disappointed. Dear Saajid, you ain't got the hikmah. You don't have the hikmah, Saajid. Why don't you have the hikmah? You don't have the hikmah. You gotta have the hikmah. You didn't get the hikmah when you converted to Islam. You don't have the hikmah now. You gotta have the hikmah, bro. You don't have the hikmah, bro. You gotta have the hikmah, bro. You gotta study and get the hikmah. Yeah. And I don't know what I don't know what I'm doing with my life here, man. This was terrible. This was terrible. I really expected to sit here and to actually deconstruct somebody's solid arguments and solid reasoning why they converted to Islam. And all we did was to watch somebody say, "Hey, I read a few parts of the Quran, and hey, I believe this was definitely from God. This answers all my questions. And hey, this is beautiful. This is wonderful, and I want to spread this to others so that I don't burn in hell." But of course, what is funny is this is the bad thing about converting, especially the bad thing about converting to Islam. If this guy Saajid was a guy who was not interested in mainstream popular ideas, I was the same. He was looking for meaning, for truth in life. He found he encountered Islam for some reason. Something within Islam aroused his interest. And I will make a wild guess and assume that it is a very basic psychological concept, psychological process. This guy didn't like his own society, his own culture, because he was a loner, because he was not interested in the things that people are generally interested in, which is why he was a little bit counterculture in his own personal sphere. Islam was considered to be something that is against his culture, that is contrary to his culture, that is very unfamiliar, disliked and hated in his culture, and that is why Islam had an impact on him. That is why Islam attracted him, because Islam was a counterculture picture in the West, because he doesn't like his own culture, he has issues with his own culture, and Islam is in the same boat as he is. Islam is also not accepted by his culture, and he thinks, okay, there's something about this that attracts me, and this is why he comes closer to Islam and converts to Islam without any proper reasoning whatsoever, but simply emotions, as we can see. I am hugely, vastly disappointed. I don't know if this is all there is. This is supposed to be his journey to Islam. This guy is supposed to be one of the serious big guys, big Muslim apologists, one of the solid intellectual ones. If this is it, then I really think, who the hell is actually out there as a Muslim apologist, as a Muslim convert, who has actually converted to Islam based on proper reasoning? Who has actually converted to Islam because they have understood Islam, not even thoroughly, just understood Islam, and logically decided after long thinking that this religion is true? Who is out there? Which convert is out there that actually has such a story, that was actually intellectually changed and convinced that Islam is the truth, and who is now here to tell us that that was indeed the case? As far as this guy is concerned, he simply seems to have done it for very basic, very simple emotional reasons. It's quite obvious. And I find this very funny because this guy comes from a camp of people who usually assert that people who leave Islam, like me, leave Islam for emotional reasons, not because we understand Islam or because we misunderstand Islam. And here we have witnessed that one of these important guys has actually converted to Islam for pure emotional reasons. So I don't know what's happening here. Very, very disappointing. Everybody, Saajid, dear Saajid, I will refer to you as that. I guess that is how you identify yourself. I mean, I can personally relate to some of the things that you are saying, some of the way you viewed life and the way you viewed society, and how you were looking for something different, which society is not interested in, how you are looking for a meaning of life, for something to live by, something better, something beyond all of this entertainment and waste of time, which you considered wrong. But it doesn't seem like to me that you actually came to Islam with a proper reasoning and a proper conclusion. It simply looks like you came to Islam because it appealed to something within you, which is simply just emotions. If that is not the case, if your Islam is indeed based on something much bigger and much more intellectually pleasing and convincing than that, then I would love to view that too. I would love to love to view a summary of that, if such a thing is available. In any case, I would love to sit down and have a debate, a discussion on reasons to convert to Islam and reasons to leave Islam or to reject Islam. That said, as again, as said, no offense at all, no hard feelings. I know you want me killed. You would probably want to kill me, but I don't. And I know I have no hard feelings for you, even if you think that I should be hanged or decapitated or whatever it is. I just hope you change change that attitude about me, and I hope you change your mind about that kind of stuff, because you want me dead, but I don't think the reason you want me dead is based on a proper proper foundation. But hey, I want to read some, since he addressed the whole preservation of the Quran issue. I just want to introduce something about the preservation and the introduction of the Quran. This is why I have a huge problem with him arguing that the Bible and Christianity was not properly preserved, according to him, which is, again, not something that Christianity is supposed to, fight for or to claim, and that Islam convinced him because he thinks that the Quran was perfectly preserved. But I want to introduce just a simple hadith, a simple narration from the fundamental texts of Islam, which explains to us how the Quran did indeed come into existence. Short background: the Islamic belief is that Muhammad was a prophet of Allah. He was approached by an angel, Gabriel, that this angel Gabriel came to him one night or one day and started to recite the Quran to him. And Muhammad then recited the Quran thanks to Gabriel, and recited the Quran, which was recited to him, loudly to his audience, to his followers around him. His followers then made notes about the revelations which Muhammad told them, or just remembered them and orally transmitted them. And that is how the Quran is supposed to have formed. The problem is that when Muhammad died, we did not actually have a book called the Quran. There was no physical Quran. The Quran as a book only came into existence after Muhammad died, long after Muhammad died. Now, here is the background to exactly how that happened. We have no information about the Quran except that it is a book which makes big truth claims and that it comes from an Arabian desert. We can only confirm that it is indeed a perfectly preserved word of God by looking at hadith, narrations. Now, this hadith says narrated by Zayd ibn Thabit. This is actually oversimplified and dumbed down. This is from a book called Sahih al-Bukhari, collected by a guy called Imam Bukhari, in short. He only says that this story was to him narrated by Zayd bin Thabit, but what actually happens is that this story is narrated to him by somebody who narrated it from 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 somebody, and so on. So what happens here is that this Mr. Bukhari tells us that person A told him that person B told him that person C told him that person D told him that person E did the following. Abu Bakr sent for me owing to the large number of casualties in the Battle of Al-Yamama, while Umar was sitting with him. Abu Bakr said to me, Umar has come to me and said, a great number of Qaris of the Holy Quran, reciters of the Holy Quran, were killed on the day of the Battle of Al-Yamama. These are all characters close to Muhammad, Muhammad's companions. Umar is the second caliph later on, and Abu Bakr is the first caliph after Muhammad. The Battle of Al-Yamama is just a battle that happened, and the significance of Quran reciters dying is that Quran reciters are the people who orally carry the Quran, because the Quran does not exist in physical form yet. And I am afraid that the casualties among the Qaris, the reciters of the Quran, may increase on other battlefields, whereby a large part of the Quran may be lost. So according to this report, these people are fearing that those people who orally recite and preserve the Quran may die, which is why the Quran may get lost. Therefore, I consider it advisable that you, Abu Bakr, should have the Quran collected. Therefore, I consider it advisable that you, Abu Bakr, should have the Quran collected. This is an incident that happens after Muhammad's death. Someone tells Abu Bakr that he should collect the Quran. I said, how dare I do something which Allah's messenger did not do. He says that Muhammad never told them to collect the Quran, to compile the Quran, which is why he finds that this action should not be done, because the Prophet Muhammad never told them to compile the Quran. It was probably never meant to be a complete physical book. Umar said, by Allah, it is something beneficial. Umar kept on pressing me for that till Allah opened my chest for that, for which he had opened the chest of Umar, and I had in that matter. The same opinion as Umar had. Abu Bakr then said to me, Zayd, you are a wise young man, and we do not have any suspicion about you. And you used to write the divine inspiration for Allah's messenger. So you should search for the fragmentary scripts of the Quran and collect it in one book. Zayd further said, by Allah, if Abu Bakr had ordered me to shift a mountain among the mountains from one place to another, it would not have been heavier for me than this ordering me to collect the Quran. Here we have an individual who is responsible for the compilation and collection of the Quran into one physical book, who is given this order long after Muhammad's death by other people who are arguing among each other whether they should do that or not. Here we have this guy telling us that this was an extremely hard task, because the Quran in a single form and single source did not exist. It only existed in the notes and minds of numerous people who were dying. Then I said to Umar and Abu Bakr, how can you do something which Allah's messenger did not do? Look, this guy says it again. How can you do something which Allah's messenger did not do? Muhammad did not compile the Quran and make a book out of it. So how can you guys do this? Abu Bakr said, by Allah, it is something beneficial. Zayd added, so he, Abu Bakr, kept on pressing me for that until Allah opened my chest. Is this repeating itself? Yes, it is. This is ridiculous. For that which he had opened the chests of Abu Bakr and Umar, and I had that matter, the same opinion as theirs. So I started compiling the Quran by collecting it from the leafless stalks of the date palm tree, and from the pieces of leather and hides, and from the stones, and from the chests of men who had memorized the Quran. I found the last verses of Surah Tawbah. Verily there has come unto you an apostle from amongst yourselves, from Huzaymah or Abi Huzaymah, and I added it to the rest of the surah. The manuscripts of the Quran remained with Abu Bakr till Allah took him unto him. Then it remained with Umar till Allah took him unto him, and then with Hafsa bint Umar. Long story short, what is happening here, this is only the beginning of this whole story of the preservation and production of the Quran. What is happening here is that Muhammad's dear companions and followers are basically, after Muhammad's death, arguing whether they should put the Quran together into a single book or not, because the Quran does not exist yet. It doesn't exist in physical form. All that these people know is that Muhammad, who died and who was a warlord, was given inspiration by Allah, invisible to anybody else, of the Quran. And he recited that Quran as it was inspired to him, to the people surrounding him who made notes and who orally transmitted the Quran to each other. After Muhammad dies, these people come together and argue whether they should create a book out of this or not. And they eventually agree that they should do this. The person who is tasked to collect the Quran, to collect the oral transmissions and the written physical transitions of the Quran, tells us explicitly that this was an extremely hard task, and that he added some part of some chapter to a different chapter, to a different verse. This is all that we know about the Quran. We also know that later after this, the Quran is unified by someone else named Uthman, who adds signs and diacritics to the letters, and then he goes around, orders that all other Qurans that exist should be burned, and that only this one Quran should exist. We do, however, in our time have different Qurans that have different versions, different ways of reading, different dialects, and in some cases, verses that are completely changed or missing. We also have many other hadith in which companions of Muhammad explicitly tell us that the Quran did contain such and such a verse, but that verse no longer exists, or that it got lost. So this is what happens with the Quran. This is how the Quran is supposed to have been preserved. All we know about the Quran is that it is a book that we have, which is supposed to have been revealed to an individual in the 7th century, and that people apparently collected it and brought it together into one book. And the only proof for that is this are these sources from this guy called Bukhari, who collected these narrations from person A, who reports from person B, who reports from person C, who reports from person D, who reports from person E that this happened. This is what we have about the Quran. This is what we have about the Quran. This is all we have about the authenticity of the Quran. We do not know what the Quran looked like in the first place. We do not know what those notes looked like. We do not know what was in the heads of these people who memorized these verses. And foremost, we have no clue whether Muhammad was actually inspired by an angel, because all we know is that he would have these little weird states where he would then start poetically reciting stuff to his people around him, and they would then put that down as Quran verses. That is all we have. And this friend Saajid really says that this means to him that the Quran was preserved, and that this Quran convinces him that this is the true word of Allah, and that this is his meaning of life, that he is completely convinced of this, and that he wants to spread this to everybody. I do not know if I was clear enough with this, if I have been clear enough with this. This is a giant mess. I hope you have been able to follow me with this. But man, what the hell? Blind faith, exactly. More 123 said blind faith. This is what's going on. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm totally disappointed. Okay. Boy. I would love to, in all seriousness, I would love to analyze a conversion story by somebody else, maybe, who has a better conversion story, who has better arguments for Islam. And I would love to sit down like this and deconstruct that person's conversion story right here live with you. I can do this again and again and again. I can deconstruct all of them. This can be very interesting and very productive, and I appreciate I appreciate that everybody joined, that everybody's listening. That said, I will quickly read the super chats that are remaining here. Carolyn R said in a super chat of $25. Thank you so much, Carolyn. This is for diapers and hikmah. Thanks to David. Thank you for the hikmah. Varun made a super chat of $5 and said, I bet he feels stronger now and is not afraid to go to the bathroom alone or meeting those girls he talked about at the beginning. I don't know if this guy is married, but Oshin Tiagi made a super chat of $10 and said, in my experience, emotional vulnerability is the number one reason to convert religions. So in a way, he does have something to offer. Understanding his psyche helps understand why people would convert. I agree. Gerardo Cantu made a super chat of $5 and said, consider Jediism. You could be a Jedi. I already am a Jedi, although I don't really like Star Wars that much. Meho Kurtlisi made a super chat of 12 SEK, which is, I believe, Swedish kronas, and just added a poop emoji. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. Wonderful. I believe that's it. I don't want to take too much of your time. We are done with the refutation. If anybody wants to help me attach some timestamps to this video and put them into the comment section, I would love to add them to the description and to the video. And thank you very much for that if you want to do it. Amy, Apostate Prophet, what hadith is that? If you want to look into that, let me share that again. This hadith is a hadith that I find very crucial in how the Quran is formed and about the authenticity of the Quran. This is right here, Sahih Bukhari 7191. In the English USC version, it is volume 9, book 89, hadith 301. This hadith is extremely crucial in studying the origins of the Quran and how it turned into a book. And this kills a lot of things for me. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for being here. I will be back. I should post something again now, soon. I will see you again. Have a fantastic day. And as always, I don't want to leave. This is my thing. When I'm here, when I'm live, I appreciate it so much, and I enjoy it so much, and I enjoy all your interactions so much. I really don't want to go. I really don't want to leave. I know I feel very emotional about this, and I'm proud of that. We're proud of that. Okay, I'm leaving. Have a fantastic day, and stay away from Islam.